US and UK sign trade deal before Trump drops it at G7. The UK-US trade deal has been signed and is done, US President Donald Trump has said as he met Sir Keir Starmer at the G7 summit. The US president told reporters, "We signed it, and it's done. It's a fair deal for both. It'll produce a lot of jobs, a lot of income." As Mr. Trump and his British counterpart exited a mountain lodge in the Canadian Rockies where the summit is being held, the US president held up a physical copy of the trade agreement to show reporters. Several leaves of paper fell from the binding, and Mr. Starmer quickly bent down to pick them up, saying, "A very important document." Sir Keir said the document implements the deal to cut tariffs on cars and aerospace, adding, "So this is a very good day for both of our countries, a real sign of strength." Mr. Trump added that the UK was very well protected against any future tariffs, saying, "You know why? Because I like them." However, he did not say whether levies on British steel exports to the US would be set to 0%, saying, "We're gonna let you have that information in a little while." Mr. Trump also praised Sir Keir as a great prime minister, adding, "We've been talking about this deal for 6 years, and he's done what they haven't been able to do." He added, "We're very long-time partners and allies and friends, and we've become friends in a short period of time. He's slightly more liberal than me, to put it mildly, but we get along." Sir Keir added that we make it work. Mr. Trump announced his Liberation Day tariffs on countries in April. At the time, he announced 10% reciprocal rates on all UK exports, as well as separately announced 25% levies on cars and steel. In a joint televised phone call in May, Sir Keir and Mr. Trump announced the UK and US had agreed on a trade deal, but added the details were being finalized. Ahead of the G7 summit, the Prime Minister said he would meet Mr. Trump for one-on-one talks, and added the agreement really matters for the vital sectors that are safeguarded under our deal, and we've got to implement that. Donald Trump says he may or may not strike Iran as Israel's air war continues. U.S. President Donald Trump says he has yet to decide whether the U.S. will join Israel militarily in its campaign against Iran. Asked whether the U.S. was getting closer to striking Iran's nuclear facilities, Mr. Trump said, "I may do it. I may not do it." Speaking outside the White House, he added, "Nobody knows what I'm going to do. Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate." And I said, "Why didn't you negotiate with me before all this death and destruction?" Mr. Trump said Iran had reached out to Washington, a claim Tehran denied, with Iran's mission to the UN responding, "No Iranian official has ever asked to grovel at the gates of the White House." Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, said Iran would not surrender and warned any U.S. military intervention will undoubtedly cause irreparable damage to U.S.-Iranian relations. Hundreds have reportedly died since Iran and Israel began exchanging strikes last Friday, when Israel launched an air assault after saying it had concluded Iran was on the verge of developing a nuclear weapon, a claim Tehran denies. Israel launched 3 waves of aerial attacks on Iran in the last 24 hours, military spokesman Brigadier General F.E. Defrin has said. Israel deployed dozens of warplanes to strike over 60 targets in Tehran and western Iran, including missile launchers and missile production sites, he said. The aim of the operation is to eliminate the existential threat to the State of Israel, significantly damage Iran's nuclear program and all its components, and severely impact its missile array, he said. Early on Thursday, Israel issued an evacuation warning to residents of the Iranian Iraq and Kandab regions where Iran has heavy water reactor facilities. Heavy water is important in controlling chain reactions and the production of weapons-grade plutonium. Meanwhile, Iran says it has arrested 18 people it describes as enemy agents who it says were building drones for the Israelis in the northern city of Mashhad. Iran also launched small barrages of missiles at Israel on Wednesday with no reports of casualties. Israel has now eased some restrictions for its civilians. The U.S. is working to evacuate its citizens from Israel by arranging flights and cruise ship departures, the U.S. ambassador to the country has said. In the UK, Sir Keir Starmer chaired a Cobra emergency meeting on the situation in the Middle East, with a Downing Street spokesperson saying ministers were updated on efforts to support British nationals in region and protect regional security, as well as ongoing diplomatic efforts. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz claims Iran is building missiles that can murder Americans. A senior U.S. senator who supports Donald Trump has told why he believes the U.S. would be right to intervene in Iran. Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican from Texas who ran against Mr. Trump in 2016 but now backs him, told that Iran is an acute threat to the national security of the U.S. He went on to claim that because Iran is also building ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and you don't need an ICBM to go to Israel, it indicated Iran's intention to take a nuclear weapon to the United States to murder Americans. Nobody is talking about invading Iran. We're not going to see boots on the ground, Mr. Cruz added. It comes after the U.S. president said he may do it, I may not do it, when asked if he would launch a strike against Iranian nuclear facilities. So far, Israel has been attacking Iran alone since it ramped up its military action last Friday, launching strikes against what it says are Tehran's facilities for developing a nuclear weapon and also destroying its air defenses. Iran has always denied seeking the ability to make a nuclear weapon from its uranium enrichment program. If the U.S. were to decide to take military action against Iran, it could have implications for the UK, as America may ask to station refueling aircraft at a British base in Cyprus and B-2 bombers, which could carry the bunker-buster bombs required to attack Iran's Fordow nuclear enrichment facility, could launch from the British base of Diego Garcia. Mr. Cruz told that while many of Mr. Trump's support base did not want to see the U.S. involve itself in another war, the overwhelming majority of Americans, nearly 80%, support President Trump and support President Trump defending us against an Iranian nuclear weapon. Moscow switches to crisis mode after Trump's Iran threats. Russia is getting nervous about Donald Trump's trigger finger, and it shows. Comments from Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov, warning the U.S. against joining Israel's military campaign, betray Moscow's growing unease that it could be about to lose its closest Middle Eastern ally. Russia has strong ties with Iran, which have deepened since the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine. These were formalized in a strategic partnership pact the two countries signed at the start of the year. So, at first, Russia seemed to view its allies' conflict with Israel as an opportunity to gain leverage. The Kremlin was quick to offer its services as a potential mediator. If Vladimir Putin could persuade Tehran to back down and return to nuclear talks with Washington, he'd potentially have a favor to cash in with the White House over its military support for Ukraine. But the offers to mediate fell on deaf ears. And with Mr. Trump threatening to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, Moscow has switched to crisis mode, fearful of losing its second key regional ally in 6 months after the fall of the Assad regime in Syria. Russia's spy chief Sergei Naryshkin called the situation critical. And, according to Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokeswoman Maria Zakharova, the world is millimeters away from catastrophe due to Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. It's quite the spectacle. A country that's been waging war on its neighbor for more than 3 years is now urging others to show military restraint. That's because U.S. involvement poses serious consequences, not just for Iran, but for Russia too. But none here would be drawn on what Moscow would do if Trump does bomb Tehran. She wasn't even able to say whether it would constitute an escalation, when the whole world can see that it would. That's because Russian officials are in an unfamiliar position, caught between a longtime ally and the country whose affections they're courting. Hence the reluctance to directly criticize Trump. I think they're also waiting to see what Russia's president will say when he addresses news agencies later on Wednesday evening. So far, in public at least, he's remained silent. Chelsea winger could face 4-year ban after being charged over alleged doping. Chelsea player Mykhailo Mudryk is facing a potential ban of up to 4 years after being charged by the Football Association (FA) with doping offenses. The Ukraine international was provisionally suspended in December after returning a positive drug test, reportedly for the banned substance meldonium. At the time, the 24-year-old said the result came as a complete shock and stated he had not done anything wrong. Chelsea added that he had never knowingly used any banned substances. On Wednesday, Mudryk's spokesperson said the player's position remains unchanged and he would not be commenting further. The FA released a statement describing details of the charge. "We can confirm that Mykhailo Mudryk has been charged with anti-doping rule violations alleging the presence and/or use of a prohibited substance, in terms of Regulations 3 and 4 of the FA's anti-doping regulations." The positive result occurred shortly after the winger returned from international duty with Ukraine in November. After being absent from Chelsea for 4 games, before his suspension was made public, the club's manager Enzo Maresca initially said Mudryk was unavailable through illness. He last played in the Premier League on November 10 as a second-half substitute in a 1-1 draw at home to Arsenal. Since his £88 million move from Shakhtar Donetsk in January 2023, Mudryk has scored just 10 goals in 73 appearances in all competitions and has rarely held down a regular place in the team. Since Maresca took over at Chelsea in July 2024, most of Mudryk's games have come in the cup competitions and in Europe, with just a single Premier League start in August's 6-2 win over Wolves. Earlier this month, Mudryk's number 10 shirt was allocated to midfielder Cole Palmer for next season, leaving him without a squad number at Stamford Bridge. Mudryk has made no public comment on the case since a statement on Instagram in December in which he denied wrongdoing. The player also said that he remained hopeful that "I will be back on the pitch soon." Trump mobile service announced with cost of gold smartphone revealed. The Trump Organization has announced a mobile service and smartphone branded with the president's name. Get ready to experience the power of Trump Mobile, the website proclaims alongside an image of a golden mobile phone. Positioned as an alternative to telecom giants like AT&T and T-Mobile, the new mobile venture is apparently an effort to court conservative consumers with promises of phones made in America. "We are going to be introducing an entire package of products," the president's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., said at the launch at Trump Tower in New York. Products include telemedicine, roadside assistance, and unlimited texting to 100 countries, he said. The Trump Organization, which is the main holding entity for most of the president's business ventures, said ahead of his return to the White House that control of the company would be handed to his children. This replicates the arrangement from Donald Trump's first term in power, though concerns about potential conflicts of interest remain. The new $499 Trump-branded smartphone is said to be available from September, with the network offering a $47.45 a month subscription plan. In recent years, the Trump family, long known for its luxury hotels and golf resorts, has ventured into newer areas like digital media and cryptocurrency.